Okay, it's 4:30. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me? It's 4:30.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay. Could we have our clerk to take the roll for our zoning and annexation committee?
Councilmember Niskoski. Present. Councilmember Vice Chair Gooden Rogers.
Present.
Committee Chair Dr. Davis.
Present.
Citizen Member Jordan Geiger.
Present.
Councilmember White.
Present.
Citizen Member Stacy Oda.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. Thank everyone for being here. We will now have bill number 3024 presented to us, amending zoning ordinance for property located at 1022 East Colfax. We have a presenter.
Skip Morrell, zoning specialist with offices on the 14th floor of this building.
Go for it.
As stated, this is Bill 30-24, located at 1022 Colfax Avenue. The owner is Web Squared LLC, and they're requesting a rezoning from currently U2 Urban Neighborhood 2 to NC Neighborhood Center. So first, to provide some background, this is the site as it exists now. A view kind of pulling it back, the property owners actually own that property to the left there as well. And then this is another view of that property looking towards the intersection there of Colfax and Eddy. So first, looking kind of at the neighborhood, and the property we're looking at is the one that's highlighted on the far right there in orange. So this building dates back to about 1870, which is a similar point for other residential structures in the area. The area then developed in the early 1900s, combination of both single-family homes and then also commercial uses that are primarily focused as you move further west towards downtown, but then kind of spotted along this corridor as well as LaSalle Avenue. And this neighborhood recently has seen a growth of service and small-scale commercial and office use, so the rezoning here would allow this property to kind of expand on those uses in the area. Then looking at a more local context, more specifically to this property abuts NC Neighborhood Center Zone parcels to the south, to the east, and to the north, and then a U2 property to the west. It's located one property west of a pretty highly trafficked intersection there at Eddy Street and Colfax Avenue. And the rezoning of the property to NC Neighborhood Center should provide an appropriate transition between the residential properties to the east, and then as you move further west towards downtown and some of those higher intensity commercial uses along the Colfax corridor. It would also tie this property into, as stated before, that property to the east of it is owned by the same property owner, so under common zoning and common ownership. This is consistent with the South Bend Comprehensive Plan 2006, with the objective to pursue a mix of land uses along major corridors, and is also identified under the future land use plan as mixed use. I will note that when we spoke during Plan Commission, which was last week, we had a neighbor, actually the neighbor just to the west there, who spoke out against this property and asked that it could be considered under UF, Urban Neighborhood Flex. So the zoning would go U2, U3, UF, and C. So, and we did note that it would be possible under UF to use the uses that the petitioner proposed of either a beauty salon or a office space. So to conclude, rezoning the property to NC Neighborhood Center would allow for the expansion of services to the area, and given the neighborhood and local context, rezoning should not have a significant impact on the use and value of adjacent properties. This comes to you from the Plan Commission with a favorable recommendation. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Morrell. You noted that we did have that discussion regarding the neighborhood, regarding the other type of zoning. And could you clarify it again, the rationale, why we finally chose to go this way?
Right. So we were looking at neighborhood center since it did for three main reasons. That the first, that it ties it into the property to the east under common ownership in the same zoning. Second, that it is at that major intersection there. I guess those are the two reasons, right? So that it's on the major intersection, that it ties it into the property to the east under common ownership.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate that. And then, any other questions we have for Mr. Morrell? Right now, do you want to hear from the presenter? Okay, can we have the presenter? Petitioner, sorry, sir. Petitioner.
Hello, my name is Justine Webb. I'm the owner of Webb Squared, and that holds the real estate to the east, as it was stated before. The only thing I wanted to add is that there is a shared parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay, so this picture right here would show you that the parking lot is shared. And I am pushing for the NC just because of insurance, and it would be hard to distinguish between the two if they were zoned differently, and I didn't want any complications with that. And we are planning to utilize the same parking lot for both spaces. I do want to have a more commercial look and am renovating the place for that. So I'd appreciate a favorable recommendation or approval, and would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Could you just state your address for the record, please?
Yes, so my address would be the 1028 East Colfax.
Okay, thank you. And as you shared that you have the shared parking lot, one goes out on Colfax and the other one past that maroon car back there goes out on Eddy Street, correct? You have two that you can go in and out on both ways.
Yes, that is correct. You can go in and out of both ways, although it's a tight fit. So we do recommend going in on Colfax.
I understand. I've gone out on both. I agree with you. All righty. We'll have any questions from the committee members regarding to ask to our petitioner. Seeing no hands raised, I thank you. And now we'll move to our public hearing. Anybody in the audience would like to speak in favor?
I do not see anyone in the audience here wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
What about online? I don't see anybody.
I do not see anyone online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
I thank you. Now, anybody who would like to speak in opposition to this bill, whether they are in the chambers or online, please feel free to share your thoughts.
I do not see anyone in the chambers wishing to speak in opposition, and I do not see anyone online wishing to speak in opposition.
I thank you again. So we will close our public hearing, and we will now move it back to our committee or to the council. What else? I did see our 4th district person in our meeting, Mr. Warner. Attorney Warner, do you have any other comments you'd like to share?
I do, yes. Thank you, Chair. I've got some comments and concerns and I guess, so the property, this is taking 2 steps up in zoning. We're going from residential U to skipping urban flex and going to neighborhood center. If you look in the zoning ordinance itself, neighborhood center is a mixture of storefront retail, offices, dwelling units located in townhouses, apartment buildings, and upper stories of rear mixed-use buildings. The NC district is to establish and promote development of higher density, opposed to the UF, which is the lower zoning district. And on that one, the purpose of the UF is it integrates small scale office, commercial and institutional uses that are compatible with the scale and the character of the neighborhood. I know that, we all know that uses are temporary and zoning is permanent. We've seen that multiple times. Somebody opens something in a building or an area and we zone it. And if we upzone it, then we kind of lose the ability later on when something with higher traffic, higher density, higher use, higher volume comes in later on. I think in my opinion here, the petitioner can use the building at the lower UF. I think that also when we saw what was along Colfax further down, the UF was there. These are all still residential buildings. When you look at the neighborhood center, they're not those types of larger buildings that generally are in the neighborhood center areas. So for those reasons, I would ask the committee to consider an amendment to 1 step up in zoning to UF as opposed to 2 steps up in neighborhood center.
Thank you, Councilman Warner. In our South Bend board this last week, I shared very similar thoughts that you just presented, and that was the basis of our discussion that Mr. Morrell was talking about, because I was wondering why we were moving up to 2 steps, because I felt that it could be accomplished under 1. Now, a new issue that I just heard today that was just presented was that her insurance, there would be issues with the insurance if there was that was new for me today. Mr. Morrell, could you explain that?
I can't speak to the insurance. I don't know if the petitioner would like to. I can answer any questions from a zoning perspective as far as development, but that would be outside
Well, for
of.
the petition, I mean, because to me, that's what we had. Again, could she explain the insurance part? And then, Mr. Morrell, could you explain the zoning and our discussion, since Councilman Warner also expressed that? Okay, go first, the insurance issue.
So it did get brought up momentarily at the last meeting, and there could just be complications with sharing a parking lot as far as them being zoned differently. And that's really what it came down to, was just because I'm already a neighborhood center, doing the same thing that would be what I'm proposed. It would have, and because it's the same ownership, that's why we had decided, or the board or commission has decided that it would make sense to move it to an NC, just based on that. And because I guess that's what I was told during zoning, but most importantly, it's because it's common ownership. So if I did want to do something down the line and maybe combine the parcels, or because of insurance, it being the same, that there could be conflictions. I also think the one right next door is an NC. The South Bend Clinic is right across the street, and that one's also an NC. And if you look down the road, there wasn't an urban flex that I recall. It was mostly NC, followed by very old residential homes that are under the same ownership, and which is why I believe that they have been all residential.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Morrell?
Yeah, I'll pull up the map. So we can all look at it.
Could you discuss that again and can answer? I know the neighborhood association had brought, but you said that that particular neighborhood association member was not a part of that same neighborhood. And that, according to the notes, could you share all of those who brought up the concern and explain all that?
Sure, just to explain the
Well, two things
request.
there. Explain the initial issue that I had shared it, and then the neighborhood person that shared, and then so talk about the neighborhood. When you shared, when I shared it, and when the neighborhood person shared it, you said that that person was not a part of that neighborhood association. This property is not a part of that neighborhood association. And then could you answer the question from concerns from Councilman Warner?
Sure. Well, to the first point, there was concern from the Northeast Neighborhood Association, or concern from the citizen member who spoke, referencing the Northeast Neighborhood Association that starts to the north of Colfax. So this was outside of those bounds of that neighborhood. The concern, and to reiterate what Councilman Warner said, was looking at concern from a residential property adjacent to this, that the NC neighborhood center zoning would allow for more intense uses than are currently there, and that the petitioner would be able to use the property as a beauty salon or an office space under Urban Flex. And then finally, to the reasoning, kind of to restate the reasoning why the neighborhood center zoning for the two adjacent parcels is relevant, is just that when two parcels are zoned the same and under common ownership, they can develop as though they're one parcel. So it's kind of eliminates that property line between them. They can sort of develop as one parcel. So say a building could be built on both, like overlapping both parcels, and it would all be under one ownership and one zoning. I don't know if that's clear, if I could restate that in a simpler way.
Okay. Committee members, council, comments, concerns, or support, whichever way you want to talk.
Question,
Sure.
what's the worst case scenario? Like you said, these are permanent. Once it's NC, it's NC. So not saying that it will happen, but what could happen?
So the highest, and I'll pull up so the most that could be built under UF as far as scale would be up to 55 feet tall. That's the same for neighborhood center, but there are some more uses that are allowed. So for example, in Urban Flex, and I just wrote this out, the uses that are allowed by right for Urban Flex would be offices, daycare, funeral services, medical or dentist office, and personal care, which speaks to the beauty salon, that sort of thing. There are a range of uses in Urban Flex that require a special exception. So that would be a bar or tavern, general retail, restaurants, or a private club. Those would require an additional special exception to be allowed. In neighborhood center, those uses would not require the special exception. They would be allowed by right. But as far as the scale, it would be a similar scale in terms of the size that you can build up to 55 feet tall.
Other questions, comments?
NC
or
can
you
be
wanna follow up?
55 or above.
NC would also be 55 feet tall, and I'll,
Okay.
yeah, just
Sorry.
share
They
the.
both would be 55. Other concerns, you want to follow up to that, Councilwoman Bowden Simpson? Or
No.
Is
Just
that
to
so?
provide, this is, if hopefully
Yeah.
everyone can see that, this is the neighborhood center, so you'd be able to build up to 55 feet tall and 4 stories. Looking just at the scale, and the setbacks for a neighborhood center would be 0 feet for each side and then 5 feet for the rear. If we go to Urban Neighborhood Flex, and slow me down if I'm going too fast, you would also be 55 feet tall, 4 stories, with the setback there of 5 feet on each property line. So that would be the main difference. And then as far as the uses, if we look at Urban Flex here, you can kind of look there. Those are the range of uses. So the ones that are in dark blue are allowed by right. So as I stated, the daycare center, funeral services, medical. But then the ones in light blue would require a special exception. So that's the restaurant, the retail service, bar, tavern. And then if we go down to neighborhood center here. You can see the scale is the same, but some of there's a wider range of uses, and then more of those uses are allowed by right. So, for example, the restaurant, you can have a hotel in neighborhood center among range. I'd be happy to share this for review if anyone wants to. Sure.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go for it.
I'm going to defer our comments and things till later, till 7. We're kind of running out of time here, but I want to thank, I had a good discussion with Mr. Morel this afternoon and Mr. Corcoran last week, and I was going to share those uses and things, but you've already done that. And I've got them ready to send. I'll send them to all the council to see the two so that they can compare the uses. As I said, the uses for the NC are just more density, higher uses, higher traffic uses. I'm not again. I think the project is great. I'm like development, but I think given that we've got the residential right there, maybe that single step might be make more sense. And then if there's going to be some higher density uses and some commercial buildings built, then we come back and visit the NC at that time. I think that makes sense. But I'll defer that to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Citizen member, Mr. Geiger has a question. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a quick question for the petitioner. Justine, can you and maybe this was mentioned earlier, but I lost connection for a second. But how long have you owned the property, and what have you used it for in this time?
So right now that property has been vacant since the previous owner had passed, and then I took ownership. So I want to say for about a year and a half while I've been renovating it to restore the history, since it's such an old building, as well as since my building that I occupy next door is part of I can register it for the historic district. So both I've renovated, and once I get it registered on the historic district, I feel any concerns about a restaurant, which has never been brought up before, as far as my plans go, are basically just in the land of what ifs and shouldn't happen. So I've only owned it for like a year and a half.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a recommendation from the committee to propose for tonight?
I move to pass it with a favorable recommendation.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Could you please take the roll?
Councilmember White. Aye. Councilmember Nisgowsky. Aye. Councilmember Vice Chair Gooden Rogers. Committee Chair Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Citizen Member Jordan Geiger.
Aye.
Citizen Member Stacy Odom.
Aye.
All ayes.
Okay, thank you. And that concludes that. And thank you and welcome Jordan Geiger to our committee. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
For Bolden Simpson,
Here, present.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Present.
Citizen Member Kanajeski,
Present.
and Citizen Member Gripe,
Present.
and Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Present.
We have everybody present. We will start with substitute bill 3324. May I have a motion to accept the substitute bill?
Move to accept the substitute bill.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the substitute bill. Because we've got a member online, we will do a roll call vote. Clerk Torado.
Citizen Member Gooden Rogers.
Present.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Aye. Present.
Councilmember Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Chair Warner,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Gripe,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kane Kajewski.
Aye.
All ayes.
Okay, with that, we will start, Mr. Bauer, welcome, with Bill 3324, Economic Development Loan Lincoln Park Project.
Good afternoon, committee members and council members. Caleb Bauer, Executive Director of Community Investment Offices on the 14th floor of this building. Before you today are two economic development loans. I'll present on each. And we've also got representatives from the partners here for both of these loans. Starting with Bill 3324. This is a economic development loan using the EDC forgivable loan statute for what we're calling the Lincoln Park project. This is a proposed project located in the neighborhood north of the city cemetery, south of Lincoln Way West. This is a neighborhood that was significantly impacted by the 2008-2009 financial crisis, with a high rate of foreclosure and ultimately a high rate of vacant and abandoned properties that were demolished as part of the city's efforts to resolve vacant and abandoned properties throughout South Bend. Median home value in this neighborhood is roughly $65,000. A vacancy rate of 25%, which is higher than the average across the city. And as I walk through this, I'm open if you do want to interrupt with questions, but we can also take questions at the end. So this is the area in which the project would be developed, and really these two projects are part of goals outlined by the Common Council and the administration to continue to spur infill development in our neighborhoods, both at for sale and rental properties, and at a mix of incomes. These two projects are really focusing on the for sale. We'll talk through the income breakdowns in each project, but we're really excited to bring these before the council for your consideration and really start what we hope is continue the work that our department has done over the last few years to chip away at the appraisal gap. And in this case, really develop significant number of comps in neighborhoods that haven't seen a lot of new construction that can hopefully unlock other market activity going forward. So this first proposal in the Lincoln Park area is a proposal for a forgivable loan that would unlock the development of 92 single-family homes, with commitments for over half of those to be sold to low and middle income households, both those below the 80% of area median income, and then those in the range of 80 to 120% of AMI. The development partner is Intend Indiana, a partner we have not had a development project partnership with in South Bend. It's a community development corporation that's been well established, formerly a neighborhood-based CDC that's expanded over time, headquartered in Indianapolis. Intend and the Intend team can share more about their history, but they're looking at a number of statewide partnerships, and this is one of them. And this has really been a team that we've been impressed with their capacity and what they've done in Indianapolis on the northeast side, and what they're hoping to do here. So they would be the developer. What's interesting about Intend is they are also a community development financial institution. So in addition to developing the properties, they would also originate the mortgages for the buyers of these homes. As well, they have a small business lending arm that can provide small business loans potentially to contractors and others involved in these projects. So a really interesting group. We'll let them share more about themselves shortly. But part of their Affordable Home Matters, which is an arm of the Intend Indiana team, is developing high quality homes and assisting those buyers with low and moderate incomes to obtain home ownership. They've got a good track record of being heavily engaged with neighborhood associations, community partners really coming alongside them and making sure that projects reflect the priorities of those neighborhoods. And we did a tour with the Intend team, I think it was last year, through their one of their projects in Indianapolis. And we played a game where we tried to guess which home was a market rate home and which home was a income qualified affordable home. And, you know, I'm happy to say we couldn't tell the difference. So really a high quality product and something we're excited to see them bring here to the South Bend area. So the details of the loan and the details of the project. The loan would be provided over a 5-year time frame. So this is not a one and done, but there would actually be multiple draws on an annual basis on the forgivable loan. The loan amount would be $5 million over the course of that 5 years, to be paired with $20 million in private investment from Intend through a number of sources, philanthropic sources, and then through private financing. What that would unlock is development of the following parcels that you can see shown on the screen here. In orange, we're showing the parcels that would be developed for individuals making at or below the 80% of our area median income. And then blue is showing that middle income, 80 to 120%, or market rate. So also there is a portion of these homes that could be built and sold at a market rate, meaning whatever they can sell them for. Likely, based on the characteristics of this neighborhood, that's still not going to be significantly higher than what these other homes are selling for. But, you know, we want to give them the flexibility to unlock some proceeds from those market rate sales that can allow them to move forward with the low income qualified sales. So again, this is a 5-year time frame. This is a loan that is provided using redevelopment commission controlled tax increment financing funds. So it's coming before you today because it is in the form of one of those EDC statute forgivable loans. You may recall we have used this format for the Indiana Dinosaur Museum, for Real America's affordable housing development, and for the Monroe affordable housing development. And I had mentioned at that time, we would potentially look at this tool for other affordable housing projects, and that's why we're bringing this back to you today. The draw periods on that would be, there is a portion of the loan that could be drawn annually. They could not draw all $5 million up front. And so they would draw in tranches subject to annual appropriations from the Redevelopment Commission. And then those tranches, as a section of 20 homes is completed, that portion of the loan would be forgiven. And then they'd go on to the next step. So I'll stop there and bring the Intend team up to let them share a little bit more about the project and themselves. And then we'd be happy to take your questions. Bringing up Jeb Reese from Intend, as well as Ben Harris. Jeb is Director of Land Bank and Special Projects.
Associate Director.
Associate Director.
Promoted.
And Ben is Director of Real Estate Development. Ben? Okay, great. I have your slides here if you want to go through those.
Okay, cool. Good afternoon. Caleb did a really great job summing up who we are. So probably won't have a ton to talk about, but just as an overview, again, Intend Indiana is sort of our parent company. We operate through 4 different initiatives. Affordable Home Matters, which is the housing development arm that would be completing this project. The Build Fund and the Edge Fund, which are our 2 community development financial institutes. The Build Fund specializes in small business lending, especially to contractors. We've also lent to restaurants, breweries, gyms, things like that. The Edge Fund is our affordable housing lending arm that Caleb mentioned before. The Edge Fund develops mortgage products that we oftentimes pair with our own house that further makes that affordable product affordable to the buyer, especially in times of high interest rates. This really helps. It gets their monthly payment down to around $900 or less a month. And then finally, Renew Land Bank. We were the organization that historically facilitated the land banking operations for the city of Indianapolis. And now that initiative sort of supports land banking efforts throughout the state of Indiana. So we operate in the realm of comprehensive community development. So when we're thinking about projects and partnerships, we're not talking about one or two houses. We're talking about a collective impact in a focused area, and really looking at layering our partnerships, our funding, and all of our initiatives. So we really see this starting with land banking, which luckily the city of South Bend has done very well in Lincoln Park neighborhood. And then we seek out public-private partnerships like the one here today with the city of South Bend. And then we look at layering in construction, small business lending, as well as the mortgage lending. And then the ultimate goal is home ownership and neighborhood stabilization. So again, this is the map that sort of shows the parcels within the neighborhood and detailing which parcels will be income restricted. And then finally, just another overview of the project. So at least 40 units will be for those buyers earning under 80% AMI. The remaining will be a split between A to 120 and market rate housing. We will be using the pre-approved neighborhood infill plans that the Department of Community Investments has developed. And then 100% of the units will be sold for homeownership in this neighborhood. That's it.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Bauer?
No, I think we've covered the high level, but happy to answer any questions in detail.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll start with the committee members. Any committee members, questions? Mr. Kanajeski, questions?
Sure. I guess I had a few that might all tie together. What's the price point of the homes? Are they going to be speculative, or is it all pre-approved for somebody that's committed? And then the third question would be, is there a commitment to build all 92 or build any portion of the market rate, or are they going to build the income restricted first? And, you know, is there a commitment to build all 92? I know you said the 20 groupings at a time, but.
There is a commitment to build all 92. To answer your questions in reverse order.
Sure.
There is flexibility as far as what portion of them are income qualified in each year. So ultimately, over the 5-year period, they'll build at least 40 income qualified. It's very likely those will be front loaded, that the income qualified homes would be built earlier, and then you start to work in more of the workforce and market rate homes. I'll let the Intend team answer sales price and the other question.
So right now we have a sales price for the under 80% AMI homes at a price point of $135,000. And for the units between 80 to 120, we would estimate between $175,000 to $200,000 sales price, and then market rate would be to be determined, looking at what's been sold in the area and seeing what we could sell it at. In terms of developing a buyer pipeline, we usually pair our projects with a homeownership education course that we either complete with local partners or with internally. We've gotten quite a few buyers through that program. If you want to talk about
sure,
it.
I'll speak on that. So one of the things we're already doing is engaging the community, because a big piece of our mission is to make sure the folks in the community and who have ties to the community have the first opportunities at these homes well before they go in the ground. So that is not only us, but engaging partners within the communities that we're working in to conduct multiple homeownership one-on-one series, how we get folks ready for homeownership, how we eliminate fears around homeownership. So that's a big piece of how we start developing a pipeline of buyers well before we even have homes in the ground or even start the construction. And that goes on the same end as far as contractors, keeping the economic development, the money coming through local contractors. We've already engaged actually a number of folks this morning here in South Bend, hoping that all the work that we're able to send out via our RFPs when that process starts, we've already engaged contractors. We're getting people from the local community to be a part of it as well.
I guess one more thing to add on to that. I think the slide said $25 million of private investment, but at 92 homes, wouldn't that put you at a cost per, at, you know, like 275?
Yeah, and that's
other forms of investment.
Yeah, so we layer our funding through different means. So we've actually applied for a couple of other different funding opportunities. We're working with local bank for, construction loans and things like that. And basically also looking at like the sales price of the home as well to subsidize well, I guess not to subsidize, but to show that, it's not a sunk cost of $25 billion that's just going to be like sitting there. Some of it's coming back to us so that we can continue the work.
Sure. And no negativity. That's just one of the biggest challenges builders in our area face is that, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Gray? Question?
Have you selected a general contractor yet?
No, and through our RFP process, when we send the project out to bid, the way that we have typically done it is that, just so you guys know, we will have a GC per each property. So we won't have one, GC overseeing all 92 houses. It will probably be a selection of, I would say, a pool of anywhere from 5 to 20.
Second question, when do you anticipate breaking ground on your first home?
Well, this has been a hot topic of conversation at our office. And I keep telling people that if this gets approved this week, we can start as soon as possible. But we were talking about this today. We think that we would like to send bids out probably for the first couple of houses in early to mid-September, and then looking at a groundbreaking date sometime before Halloween.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
It's up. I just want to know your commitment to union workers.
We have not made a requirement of organized labor being part of this forgivable loan. I think the developer, which is they are a nonprofit developer, they have made verbal commitments today related to seeking local contractors, but I do generally think it's not the right move to hamstring a project before they've been able to bid. But I think they have made a commitment to seek out local contractors and make sure that they have a fair chance to bid competitively.
So there's no commitment to that? I'm not understanding. Maybe I'm not understanding is, are you going to try or?
The administration has not asked for that to be a commitment as
Okay.
part of the agreement that you're considering today.
If I may, especially with residential construction, South Bend, even finding union trades to perform residential home buildings, far and few between.
I was thinking of like electricians and whatnot like that, plumbers, things that you have to have.
Again, I think the vast majority of organized trades are primarily focused on commercial construction projects. And I would, I would be hard pressed to find a union locally that's got the capacity to add on residential development when there is unprecedented level of commercial construction activity occurring.
Yes, I'd like to say welcome to the second district. And in the second district, homes are greatly needed. So I commend you and thank you. But I also would like to know how many of the medium income homes are you building first?
Do you mean how many under 80% AMI houses we plan to build in total, or just in like the outset?
What are you gonna start building first?
We'll start with the under 80% with a few of the workforce housing probably sprinkled in the first year.
Okay, that's what I wanted to. Thank you.
Okay, through the committee members, any council members? Councilmember White.
Yes, I'd like to thank you for your presentation. I had the opportunity to, as being a member of the Economic Development Committee, to hear both presentations, the one that you're making and the one that would follow. And the question I asked when you had that mixed use, that you would be able to see that it all fits in. You won't have the higher price houses being at certain level, and then also the others. And the response was that that would not be a problem, that all the homes would, be well develop, and they would fit into a sense of a community as well.
Yeah, I'll speak to that real quick. So the project that Caleb and his team were able to come down to Indianapolis, it's really remnants of what we are looking at with in Lincoln Park area. And we're doing the same, where we're not staggering affordable housing in one area or even positioning them in certain areas and they look a lot different. It's going to be across the board to where you're not going to be able to tell which is which, because one of our biggest missions is helping families, especially low to moderate income households, build some generational wealth. And they're only going to do that if their houses look exactly like the houses sitting next to them that are going for market rate.
Councilmember Lee.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I was looking through our packet and I didn't see the map of the Lincoln Park area.
I can go
And-
back here.
Yeah, is it possible for us to get a copy of that map?
Oh, yes, I can send the whole presentation
Yes.
to you. Yeah.
And then, so we're gonna have houses that will be 135,000 and then some that will be 200,000 in that same amount, in that same area.
Correct. Yeah. And even mixed between blocks, you can see here, orange would be the income qualified less than 80% AMI. Blue is the workforce and market rate. So intermingled within the neighborhood. And this really has been something we've been very interested in working with the Intent team to develop, is really looking at that mixed income model and showing as a proof of concept for our community, something we've seen be successful in other communities, that low income households and moderate income households have better outcomes when they are located within a mixed income neighborhood. So avoiding reconcentration of poverty and really developing a neighborhood where individuals of all incomes live together.
Okay. And then also the home buyer education partners. Have you identified those individual organizations that you'll be working with, or do we know?
We've been having a lot of conversations with several community-based organizations. We're a NeighborWorks affiliate of South Bend Heritage, so we would like to take some notes from them and see what's worked and what hasn't. And we've also been spending a lot of time with Ann Mannix today and 466 Works, so learning again what's already there. But I think also listening and hearing if there is a space for us to host the homeownership course ourselves. So we've been doing that throughout this process.
Okay. Would like to know what organizations you're going to partner with for homeownership and be able to get that information out to residents. How soon will those classes start, and how will people begin to enroll to be considered for one of these houses?
Yeah, we would anticipate starting the homeownership education courses at or before the same time as construction, so that people are made aware of the opportunities as it arises. People can apply as soon as they want. So they can visit our website and complete the first income qualification form to start that process, which is a good thing for our buyers because they can get in the door early and figure out if their credit score is too low or their debt to income's too high. They can start working on that as those opportunities become available.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would like to also know, where are you intending on holding these classes at? Who are you working with?
We actually are talking to folks while we're up here this time. We were just talking about where we could host those at. We have not settled on a designated spot. We definitely want to be somewhere in the community to start with, or adjacent to where people who have ties to the community can walk or easily get to the classes. But we're actually working out logistics on that while we're up on this trip this week.
Okay.
I would encourage you to reach out to some of the faith communities
Absolutely.
in that area.
I appreciate that. Yes.
Give you a list.
Councilmember Nazgotsky.
Thank you, Jay. I just had a quick question. I know you said you were using the templates or the designs from the city. Could you just, I can't remember how many different designs those were and what the average square footage was.
There
And I know that's
are,
probably based on how many bedrooms, but
we've added a couple, and so there were originally 6 pre-approved plans. I believe we're now at 8. I believe in this project, and Jeb can correct me if I'm wrong, but we'd be looking at a combination of the traditional single-family home, which is a 3-bedroom home. It does have a 4-bedroom option in the pre-approved plan set. I think there are also a few narrow homes, which is a 2-bedroom home that does have a 3-bedroom addition option. And then potentially, I don't know if we had any of the cottages. There were a few cottage homes, which are smaller, 1-story, 2-bedroom homes. So it's a mix of different plans from the pre-approved plan set. We're also looking to add a bungalow to the pre-approved plan set, similar to the single-family home, but just different architectural style. So hoping to make sure that there is an architectural diversity in the products that are developed, but that also reflect what historically we've seen in our neighborhoods.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Seeing no other council members, we'll open the public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to speak on Bill 3324? Any members in the chamber? Seeing no members in the chambers, any members online?
I do not see anyone in the chambers or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Seeing nobody online, I'll bring it back to the committee for a motion.
I'd like to move that we send Bill 33-24 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to send forward with a favorable. Clerk Torado.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Chair Warner,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Gripe,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kane Kunjewski.
Aye.
All ayes.
Thank you. 3324 will go forward with a favorable recommendation. With that, we will move on to Resolution 3424, Economic Development Loan, Southeast Neighborhood. Mr. Bauer.
Thank you. Caleb Bauer, Executive Director of Community Investment, offices on the 14th floor of this building. Very similar format. This is another EDC statute forgivable loan. This is contemplating an area in the Southeast neighborhood, and the partner here is 466 Works, a local neighborhood-based community development corporation that I know you're all familiar with. So setting the stage like I did before, we're familiar with the Southeast neighborhood. We've had a lot of exciting projects in the Southeast neighborhood, and we're hoping to build on that success. We've got the new One Roof Center, the new United Way Community Center as well. 466 Works has been busy over the last few years, and they have now developed, I believe, more than 30 single-family homes, right around 30. 15 and 10 under construction, 25, excuse me. Similar story, although a little bit lower vacancy rate than in the Lincoln Park neighborhood. 21% of the parcels in this neighborhood are vacant, which is right at the average for the city of South Bend. Median home value of $50,000. Again, proximity to the One Roof Center, also proximity to Riley High School. And so I will talk through the details of this project. Would be 30 single-family homes. All again developed as for sale products with at least 12 homes being provided for individuals making less than 120% of the area median income. So a little bit more flexibility for the Community Development Corporation here, but still including income qualified products. 466 Works, of course, is a nonprofit developer. And you can see here a photo, an exciting partnership we've been thrilled to be a part of from the funding side. 466 Works has, over the last few years, worked with Contech and the South Bend School Corporation's trades program to actually have the Riley High School construction trades build one of the homes. This has been a really great partnership. Something I think, I can't speak for the students, but I think they've really enjoyed being able to build a new home in the neighborhood near Riley High School. Before this program with 466 Works, these homes were being built out in suburban areas. So it's really great to really get our students involved in rebuilding our neighborhoods here in the city of South Bend. And big kudos to the 466 Works team for that partnership. High level on the loan terms, this is a $3.5 million forgivable loan. It would pair with $5.2 million in private investment for a total of an $8.7 million project. The timeframe of construction of those 30 homes would be over a 3-year period. We have built in a little flexibility. 466 Works thinks they can get this done in 2 years, but we wanted to build in a third year just to give them time. As we know, construction pricing has experienced some fluctuations over the last few years, and just building in a little bit of flexibility there. On the map, you can see the parcels contemplated for development here. This is a mix of parcels already owned by 466 Works and then parcels owned by the city of South Bend that will have already been provided via an agreement from the Board of Public Works. I'll bring the 466 Works team up here now and have them speak a little bit to their organization, and then we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Good afternoon, honorable council members. My name is Charlotte Pfeiffer. I reside at 1013 West Washington Street in South Bend, Indiana. I'm really proud and honored to be a member of 466 Works. In 2016, this idea actually came out of Mount Carmel Missionary Baptist Church, Pastor Ricardo Taylor. We built a new church right across the street from the old church, and the pastor had a dream that our church did not just within those 4 walls, that we should do something for the community. So we took 466 Works out of the church. It's a community development corporation, nothing to do with the church anymore. And he handpicked a group of people who not only had expertise, but also we were the kind of community people. One of the first things we did was that we wanted to make sure that we were working with the neighborhood, not doing something to the neighborhood. So we went about working with people in the neighborhood. As you all know, I'm sure that many times the city and other contractors had come into that neighborhood, done a little something, and they left. And the people were very frustrated and distrustful. So we took our time, met with people, talked with people. What did they want to see in the neighborhood? What did we want to see in the neighborhood? And we worked with them slowly. Several of our partners are not only the Neighborhood Association, SOAR, S-O-A-R, but also Ivy Tech, of course, the city of South Bend, Riley High School, First Source Bank. Then there was Zikers Cleaners when they were first closing down. The Lang Lab, which is an organization that was a reclaimed furniture store that some local people took and made a community center out of. So we partnered with everyone around there and decided to revitalize that neighborhood. A lot of people said that it couldn't be done and nobody would want to live on the southeast side, but we have a waiting list of 16. We hardly have to market. People are coming to us. They're so thrilled. If you've been around a long time, that southeast neighborhood really was a beautiful working class neighborhood back in the day. And then it went down. A lot of the industrial neighborhoods in this part of the country went down. And so we revitalized it. And we were very conscious of making sure that the people who lived in the neighborhood that were renting sometimes $1,100 a month, renting an apartment, were able to afford our neighborhoods. And we're really proud, our houses. We're really proud that a lot of the people that have lived in that neighborhood have bought our homes. Also, people who have lived in other parts of the city, again, working class people, have bought our homes. The people who have bought our homes look like the United States, look like South Bend. We have everyone there, which is exactly the way we want it to be. We then knew that we needed to contract with someone who will speak later, Ann Mannix. as she prepares our grants for us, our community development block grants for us, and helps do a lot of other things too. So we have a wonderful board, neighbors, and we just have really turned that neighborhood around, and we're really proud. And with your permission, we will continue that work.
My name is Ann Mannix. I live at 724 West Washington. Cy Barker and Cy is a volunteer, and we're going to start paying him a little, kind of attend to the details of getting the homes built and writing the grants and putting the financing together. And we already have 20 people waiting for these homes. And the first 6 we're going to build on Dubail Street in the 200 block. And I started looking at the income levels. Half of the people are under 120% AMI and half are over. And so that's what we've had so far in applications. And people are excited about the houses. We use standard house plans. So far, we've worked with Place Builders, but we may diversify our contractor base, but he's done a good job. And we work with First Source and help people get loans. Some of them have received loans from other banks too. So we have an active board, and so far things have gone pretty well. So I'm happy to answer questions. Charlotte.
Thank you. Mr. Bauer, anything to add?
I would just add, I think a little bit of framing for you. We've appreciated the council's support on a number of large economic development projects. And I think part of our philosophy is through economic development investments and the returns on those investments, we can turn around and look at these community development investments that in turn can help grow our economy and help benefit our employers. So, I think this all ties together. This is, a new novel use of redevelopment funds. We believe that you'll be seeing more of these types of agreements coming forth in the future, and appreciate your consideration today.
Thank you. With that, committee members, any questions? Mr. Gripe.
This project is for 30 homes.
Yes.
All right. So just back of napkin math, $8.7 million budget divided by 30 homes is about $290,000 a home. So obviously there's a lot of things in that budget. Could one of you explain to me what's in there besides the $200 and some per foot cost to build a home?
Sure. I can do it roughly. We usually pay Place $250 a house, which is a very good deal, and they charge other people more. If you just tried to buy it in the open market, he probably charged $300. The rest is fees, and we pay the realtor, we pay construction interest. They pay me a little bit every house. So there's different fees that get us up to $295. We pay for zoning, we pay for sewers. That's a big expense. Another big expense is trees. There's a lot of old trees. They get in the sewer lines, and we've got to chop down these gigantic trees. So there's a lot of little things that on top of the construction. And I wanted to speak to Caleb's point about redevelopment money. This is the first time we've received it. It's the first time I've seen any project like this get redevelopment. So I'm grateful to have this. It's nice to have money lined up for 3 years, and it's relatively unencumbered by federal restrictions. So thank you for considering it. Yes, Mr. Gripe.
A follow-up question, please.
Okay.
On average, are these homes about 1,200 square feet?
1,300, yeah.
1,300.
1,200, right.
Yeah.
We have some threes, all 3 bedrooms so far. We have some ranch, people like ranch houses, but we have some ranch styles that fit in the neighborhood, and 2 bedrooms, which can be narrower.
And where will you buy the lots at the open market? Are you getting them from the city?
We're getting this about half from the city. Mount Carmel, when they start buying lots in the neighborhood, we have some that we bought in the tax sale and held.
Yeah.
So we own all but 2 lots now.
Thank you.
Member Bolt.
I also just wanted to add one other thing. I know you've all been to the new United Way Center, the One Roof. And because of the work that 466 Works had done already, that's one of the reasons that the United Way put their first expansion program institution right here in our neighborhood. And the place is busy all the time. WIC is there. El Campito Works is there now. There's daycare. There's all kinds of services to serve the people there. The building is beautiful. It fits right into the neighborhood. They have a gym. They have Zumba lessons. They have all kinds of things. Again, working with what the people in the neighborhood wanted.
Thank you. Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Just a simple question. I was looking to see if it's in there. Do the houses have basements? Yes. Okay, very good.
We have
Is it turning-
And garages.
Okay.
Attached garages.
Okay, Council or Citizen Member Kennedy.
I had a question, and obviously don't take this as negativity. I'm just trying to understand how home prices are being dealt with in our city. But with the investment from the city, it looks like you're getting about $115,000, $117,000 per home. With the appraisal gap, is that really what we're?
Charging about 170 now, and we get, I think, 116 per house from the city. I can bring back exact numbers or send them to you.
But is that the kind of appraisal gap we're dealing with in the city? A $250,000 house, $115,000 is where that?
Well,
far
we're,
off?
we're selling them for 170. And the first house we sold like 5 years ago was 110. So we sell it for about 170 and we try to price it based on what people can afford. So it's coming up, but it's still there. And it's different in different neighborhoods.
And they're praising for about 170 then?
Yeah.
So 250
Oh,
to
well, they're
build.
appraising for 210 actually, but we're selling them for 170 because that's what people can afford.
Okay.
But the appraisals have been coming up based on the other houses too.
Sure. Thank you.
Also to add to what you, just to add to what you may have wanted to know, our first home was sold to a mother with, single mother with 4 children. And one of her children had a disability and we did not have it in our budget. She needed a ramp built. So one of the unions, you were talking about unions, built that for us. We had a little money that was donated by a bank just to give us about $15,000 to do what we wanted. So we helped her with landscaping. So we do things like that whenever we can.
Sure. And as Caleb mentioned, yeah, there's intangibles that are exponential to this investment. So thank you.
And if you drove through our neighborhood, they look just like the other homes too. And of course, you know this, we've primed the pump. If there's a new house next to you, all of a sudden you paint your house, you cut your grass. We also had a group of interns from Notre Dame IU and Bethel, and those interns went around and to try to find out needs of the neighborhood beyond homes. And of course, the council was good enough to help share some of the Light Up South Bend. We were able to put lighting there so that when the police department and fire department came for services, they could see the housing. We also put those lamps, the lamps we might have in the front yard. So we've lit up not only have we built homes for working class people, it's light there. We've cut back trees. Ivy Tech has streamers out in front. I wanted to add also, I have to, little bit because we're so proud, I'm sorry. We're the ones that went to the South Bend Community School Corporation and said all these houses in this program, you're building houses out in the county and that program is housed at Riley High School. Why don't you build in the southeast neighborhood right in front of Riley so the children that build there can drive along and see what they did. So because of that, and actually we're on our 3rd house with the school corporation.
Thank you. We're running out of time, so I'm going to ask you to hold the rest to 7 p.m. Any other council members with questions? Yeah.
Chair, I believe you need to move to accept the
Substitute. Okay, we'll get there. Thank you. I appreciate the reminder. Councilmember Lee.
I just would, Caleb, if we can we get this also? I would like to have this presentation also.
Yes, I'll send both presentations to all council members and committee members.
Thank you. Any other council members? Seeing none, we'll open a public hearing. Any members of the public wishing to speak on resolution 3424? Seeing none in the chambers, any online?
I do not see anyone in the chambers or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Seeing nobody wishing to speak, we'll bring it back to the committee Committee, can I have a motion to accept the substitute resolution 3424?
Motion.
Motion. Second, I have a motion and a second to accept the substitute. Clerk Toronto, your roll call, please.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers. Aye. Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Thomas Morgan. Committee Chair Warner.
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Grape.
Aye.
Citizen Member Kane Kajewski.
Aye.
5 ayes.
All ayes. Bill 3424 will go forward this evening at 7 p.m. with a favorable recommendation. I'm sorry, that was a substitute. So I will make a motion to send Bill 3424 forward with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
We've got second, Clerk Toronto, roll call on.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Thomas Morgan. Committee Chair Warner.
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Gray.
Aye.
Citizen Member Kane Kajewski.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you. Also, 3424 will go forward with a favorable recommendation, and we will go to 2424. Mr. Glavich, welcome.
Eric Glavich, Director of Growth and Opportunity, offices on the 14th floor of this building. The resolution before you is a declaratory resolution for a real property tax abatement for property located at 711 and 713 Leland Avenue. It's actually one parcel. It is, you can see on the map, it's off of Portage between Lindsay and Pierce. The triangle to the right of the highlighted portion is number 6 Scratch Kitchen, and the image there is the house as it currently stands. The owners of the property are the owners of number 6 Scratch Kitchen. They purchased this property with the intention of rehabilitating it and transforming it into a mixed-use parcel, which would include a new restaurant and residential units. This is an aerial of the property as it basically stands currently. You can see that it's in need of rehabilitation. This is kind of an aerial image of what they plan to do. So they would rehabilitate the current building. They would put the restaurant on the first floor and in the basement, rehabilitate the upper floors, maintain them as rental units. But they would also plan on the left side of the screen to add a carriage house. The carriage house would have residential units on the top, and then the first floor and the basement would be parking and storage for the rest of the parcel. As I mentioned, the property is owned by the owners of number 6 Scratch Kitchen, Amanda Schutz and Andrew Caspers. Here's kind of the outline of what they would plan to do with the project, which I've already covered. Their estimates for construction are about $450,000 total for the project. The tax estimates that are associated with this project are on the screen. Based on the January 1st, 2024 assessment of the estimated taxes currently are about $2,700 annually. With the investment that they will be committing to through this tax abatement, we are estimating that taxes after completion of the project would be upwards of $12,000 per year. Just to know that these are estimates, so it's difficult to know for sure, but we definitely know at a minimum that there's going to be a dramatic increase in value for this parcel. It's also going to add vibrancy, continued vibrancy to the neighborhood, create an area around this portion of the near northwest neighborhood that would be a destination for families in the area. During the tax abatement, you'll see that about $31,000 of the taxes over 6 years would be abated, and we estimate that they would pay about $40,000. I will pause there. I know that Amanda is here waiting. She's been waiting patiently, and she can give a little bit of an overview of their project and answer any questions that you guys have.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for your patience and your name and address.
Amanda Schutz. Do you want the restaurant address?
That's
701
fine, yeah.
Portage Avenue.
Thank you.
So yes, the intent, he did a very good job of explaining it, but the intent is to create more places within this district to walk to. There's not a lot of neighborhood sort of places to go. There's a lot of moms. So the idea is to create a small breakfast place with a little market in the front of it. And then upstairs is residential for rentals as well as the carriage house in the back. We picked up this property, I think about a year ago, and have been trying to slowly come up with a plan for it. So.
Thank you. Committee members, any questions? Seeing none,
Just a question.
Councilmember.
And well, a comment too is all right to me. I encourage you to stay in contact with the pastor of St. Paul Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, because you know that's right by there. But I was running about the parking. You said something about parking.
Yeah, there's parking in the back of the carriage house.
Yeah, I got it.
So the carriage house
Yeah.
would be, do you know how to change the screen? I'm sorry.
I just can't remember.
So in the back of,
I'll drive by there.
in the back there, there's actually some parking spots.
Yeah, now. I
And
remember.
ADA, yeah.
It's right by the
Mm-hmm.
playground. Okay.
Thank you. Council members, any questions? Councilmember Lee?
How soon will you guys begin started with this project? And we know that this has been a very long process. And Amanda has worked, this is in my district, so I'm very much aware of it and very much supportive of it. But how soon do you think you guys will get started? And
As soon as possible. No, I believe we're getting to the point where we're coming up with the final plans that would go to the building department and everybody else to get approved. This was just another step in this whole process. So my guess is we're just waiting for the final decisions on several more items, and then we're on our way.
All right.
So hopefully within the next month or so.
Okay. Seeing no other, we'll go to the public. Any members of the public wishing to speak on the resolution? Seeing none in chambers, any online?
Do you see anyone online or in the chambers wishing to speak?
Thank you. Bringing it back to the committee. Committee, any comments? Or if not, I will take a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion to send forward with a favorable?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll second that motion. Clerk Torado, can you do the roll call, please?
Councilmember Good Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Chair Warner,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Gray,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kane Kucheski.
Aye.
5 ayes.
5 ayes. The bill will go forward to 7 p.m. with a favorable recommendation. We'll see you again in a little bit. Before we wrap up, Mr. Bauer, I know there was one bill that was filed this week, but is not on the agenda. And there's been a little discussion and chatter on that. If you could just quickly explain the bill. I think it's 2423, revoking the tax abatement for 300 LaSalle.
Yes, certainly. That is a bill proposing the revocation of the 300 East LaSalle tax abatement due to non-compliance with the abatement terms. We had sent forward that resolution for your consideration after the conclusion of a 30-day cure period as provided for in the municipal code. That period has expired. And we did provide an opportunity for the developer to meet with staff to discuss the timeline for them to cure their noncompliance with the abatement resolutions. Ultimately, we did not hear contact with staff on that item within the 30-day period. However, we did receive contact on the 31st day. And so we are going to move forward in the interest of accommodating that conversation with a meeting that would occur prior to your next council meeting. That is in addition to a meeting that a number of redevelopment commissioners will be attending with the developer to discuss the redevelopment commission side of these items as well. So 2 meetings will occur prior to your next meeting. And because of that, we've asked that the bill not be filed today for hearing from the council. We'd like to allow those conversations to play out, but we would ask for your consideration of that bill at the coming meeting, and I will be happy to attend to share updates from the individual meetings that will occur in between now and then.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to make sure we're open and transparent with regarding that bill.
Absolutely.
And where things stand. And thank you. Appreciate that. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting of the Community Investment Committee. I thank you for your time